Hey guys, I'm learning TFT and I'm sharing my learnings with you so that you can learn and I can learn better as well. In this video, I'm going to share with you a coaching session with Broseph where I brought a ton of questions about the 16.3 meta, a bunch of questions about line-specific stuff. I have a ton of notes here that I went into about all the lines, ASOL, bunch of stuff. So a lot of depth in this coaching session. But before I dive into that, I'm going to do the meta mindset of the day. Today's segment is TFT art? And this was inspired by More Dogs Walk the Dog episode with Julian. If you want to, this is a psychological, philosophical segment that is designed to help you improve at TFT, but also broaden and extend to your life as well. If you want to jump straight to the coaching session, take a look at the timestamp in the description below. So this is where it kind of first saw it, and I'm going to play this clip on 2x speed for you so you can kind of get an understanding of why I'm even asking this question.
Good answers. All right, well, I'll let you ask another question. Okay, I almost joined your Discord. I wanted to ask this question during season 1. Is TFT art? Oh, this question. And this is a nebulous, stupid question that can never be truly answered. Is TFT art? Obviously, okay, you have to define what art is to quantify if TFT is art. And I think, much like another question I actually tried to answer, and I couldn't come up with a good answer for this.
I'm not going to go into exactly what More Dog answers. He also put a poll up, and he said, this is random but humory, is TFT art? And majority of people actually said yes. And I posted this response, and many of you that have been following my meta mindsets for a while will understand where I'm coming from on this. I said, I love using TFT as a metaphor for life, letting go of what you thought you knew, like old patches and sets, and adapting to the new, especially relevant in today's rapidly evolving AI and tech world. It rewards introspection, a beginner's mindset, and real growth. So yes, TFT is art for me. I've seen many people in TFT whose jobs are like doing content, where maybe they're having a hard time finding a new job because AI is replacing so much in the world. And a lot of TFT players that I met in Paris are like engineers, and there is a revolution occurring in the world right now. What was useful yesterday, job functions, careers, the things that you learned in school will no longer be relevant tomorrow. I think I've talked about this a lot. The most important skill that you can learn in the world of 2030 is the skill of learning how to learn. And with regards to that, I view TFT as a perfect metaphor for life. It teaches you how to handle this process. And to me, for TFT, this is not a process just of like, oh, what's good this patch? What's good next passage? It's not solely an information game. I view TFT as a psychological game. The best players are truly able to do this process of being introspective, learning to emotionally let go of the past, learning to emotionally let go of what you thought you knew, learning to emotionally let go of clinging to what you, even within a game, think should be happening, letting emotionally go when something doesn't go your way so that you can make the best decision possible in the here and now, as opposed to being attached to some low roll that you just had in the past. Letting go of the comp that you love to play in the last patch that has been nerfed to the ground and is no longer good. All of that is relevant for the world that we are living in today, and will only continue to become more relevant in that regard. And that is why, for me, TFT is art, because it is a metaphor of how we live our lives. And I know this can be kind of abstract, and I assume that many people that are watching this will just call BS on this, but frankly, for me, this is just true. And so I want to talk about that. And actually, Mort Dog, even in this video, talks about how he views art as should affect the way you see the world in a different way. And from that perspective, he defined TFT as not being art. And so I kind of want to challenge Mort Dog on that, because I definitely view TFT as a game that changes my perception of reality, and challenge you to think about how TFT can change your perception of reality for the better. So I have some ideas from quotes that I've gathered over the years in philosophy and psychology attached to the idea of art, and how we can think about that as it applies to TFT. So Nietzsche said, Every art, every philosophy may be viewed as a remedy and an aid in the service of growing and struggling life. They always presuppose suffering and sufferers. And so, this idea of growing and struggling life, I think this is just very appropriate analogy for ranked queue, like or playing in tournament. Like the interesting thing about playing competitive games, especially ranked play, is that, and I think this happens in life as well. Oftentimes in careers, there's actually something called the Peter Principle, which is you are promoted to the point of your incompetence. And if you if you are somebody that are ambitious, which is what our culture tries to nudge you towards very strongly, and our society pushes you towards, if you are somebody that wants to climb in your rank climb, you will inevitably hit the point where, in the beginning of a new set, you might have a very good win rate, a good AVP. You keep on getting that climb. At some point, you will hit a wall, you will hit a ceiling. And that is just as true in TFT as it is in life. And that will bring up suffering and sufferers. You will struggle. And that's where I view TFT as interesting, because it is truly at that moment that you hit the wall that TFT is art for me, in the sense that it forces you to look within. If you truly want to break through that wall, forces you to look within and be like, I can do something about this. It's not blaming the outside world, blaming Mortdog, blaming X, Y, or Z, blaming the balance team, right? Like, it truly is, there is something that you can do about it. Like, just because this patch is imbalanced in some way, just because ASOL is, throwing bombs in like galaxies, whatever out there, doesn't mean that you can't climb further. Like, there are fundamental differences in how you view the game and someone like Dissoap or Weijin or Setsuko or whoever else, right? Like, they're able to get to that level not because the game is imbalanced or the low rolls don't go their way. They figure out a way around it. And so it's figuring out how you handle the struggling and the suffering and transform yourself from a victim mentality where the problems outside and you are the victim of it, and having a transformation process where you become the hero of your own story and you can transform that suffering and that struggling into a growth process where you can overcome it. Immanuel Kant said, if beautiful art does not express moral ideas, ideas which unite people, then it is not art, only entertainment. People need to be entertained in order to distance themselves from disappointment in their lives. And so a key idea here is that, to me, is that art unites people. And one of the beautiful things that I experienced in Paris is I felt that, like, yes, TFT is a competitive game, but in Paris, I felt like people genuinely like care about the community, and like there's a lot of respect across borders, and the fact that there's so many people across so many countries in the world from all areas of the globe that can come together to play this game. And similarly, I think this is also true for sports too. Like, I think one of the underlying moral ideas of TFT that I think there is a common fabric amongst TFT players is that you recognize that there is a shared struggle that all of us go through when we face the new and we are confronted with change. And we know that anyone that plays this game truly at a high level has grasped the ability to evolve and to adapt. And that, I think, is an idea that unites people, and also why I view this game as a form of art. Bertolt Brecht said, art is not a mirror held up to reality, but a hammer with which to shape it. And so from that perspective, I see TFT as a form of art, not just, I talk about TFT as a metaphor for life, but also that I've started to see the way I approach TFT as a way that if I shift how I view the game of TFT, how I play the game of TFT, that can have ripple effects into my life. And vice versa. Because how we see one thing affects how we see something else. And so when I am able to play in a more relaxed mode, because sometimes I get too attached and gripping to, let's say, my rank or to trying to qualify for a tournament, that shows up in my life. And so I have to also figure out how do I gain the self-awareness of that process, which is the same process as what you do when you do a VOD review of your own games to figure out what you could have improved. And so the difference between somebody that is hard stuck and that cannot improve in the game is also likely the same psychology and mentality that of someone that is likely hard stuck in life. Now that is not always true because for sure there are people that just want to approach the game to have fun, and that's totally cool. But if your goal is to actually climb and get better, but you are unwilling to be introspective, then I suspect that those same characteristics will manifest themselves in your life. And so when we say about like that art is not just a mirror held up to reality, but a hammer with which to shape it, I believe that the process of learning how to improve in TFT, if you truly become introspective and break through those psychological barriers in your mind to adopt a beginner's mindset and to allow yourself to grow and accept that you don't know everything and are willing to let go of your own like sense of ego and self-identity, if you can do that in the game and break through whatever LP barriers, I believe that can translate into your life and shape your life as well. Jonah Lehrer said, when we venture beyond the edge of our knowledge, all we have is art. And I think there's something profound here, which is that art is like this, the border between what we know in science and the unknown. And I think philosophy also falls in that category of the bleeding edge between what humans in our current state can possibly understand and how we deal with the fuzzy unknown. And I think that's fascinating in the context of TFT because we are always playing with that border. And furthermore, I find that the game of TFT is the least interesting when the game is quote solved, especially on like long patches, like the Christmas patch. Or that there's like you one trick something because something is so imbalanced and broken that everybody just one tricks that, and there's like a 3 or 4 way contest. That's when the game is the least interesting to me. When the game is the most interesting to me is when I had my pro chat with Weijin when he talked about a play the game game. And a play the game game is like you play what the game gives you. It's what we have kind of historically called flex TFT, which for many top players would argue is dead in modern TFT, but Weijin would argue that, like, at least for set 16 is a little bit more common than set 15. But I think it's interesting because at each start of each new patch, we get to experience this again. And we are kind of forced to reface this over and over and over again with every new patch and set, which trains us to handle the unknown better. And in the way with how rapidly the world is changing today with AI and technology, we as a human society are faced with more rapid change. Like more is changing in our society today in like a year than like what happened in 100 years in the past. Like the fact that there are like robots and like GPT and like I just saw a video of like you could order in China in Shenzhen. There's like the equivalent of DoorDash, but in a booth at a park, you order your food from a bunch of restaurants you can select from, and then a drone will fly from that restaurant with the food and then land in like the booth, and then you get your food. You don't even need like a DoorDash deliver, right? Like so much is changing in our world today. And I think TFT as a game is a perfect metaphor for that change. And for a lot of people, that change is scary. It's destabilizing psychologically. And I think TFT trains our brains to learn how to handle that instability and that discomfort with change. TFT at the core for the best players is learning how to be comfortable with discomfort. And that, I think, in many ways, is the role of art. Ernst Gombrich said, the biological function of art is that of a rehearsal, a training in mental gymnastics, which increases our tolerance of the unexpected. And like, I mean, this last sentence, mental gymnastics, which increases our tolerance of the unexpected, is how I would define like fun, like flow TFT. That's what Weijin described as play the game. And he said in set 16 that happens for him about 20% of the games that he plays, but that's where he's actually having the most fun. And so in this sense, I would argue that TFT as a game, and hopefully, if there are any Riot designers watching this, like I truly believe that that is what ideal TFT would look like over the long haul. And I know that that style of play can rub against, especially casual players, expectations of the game and the way they want to play the game, because that's how our schooling system is set up from our historical past because of the industrial revolution creating a assembly line model of, I've talked about this before in my meta mindsets, schools built on a hierarchical system where you have 20-30 kids all observing a teacher in the front behind a desk to show their position of power, lecturing to them, and then people memorizing in schools. That's historically how schools have been taught, memorizing information and regurgitating it. That's how people like to play TFT too. They like to go on to TFT Academy. They like to go on whatever X, Y, or Z content creators site and say, what's S tier? I will copy that. I will execute that in my games. I don't want to think for myself. That is the model of our society, and that's what people are comfortable with. But I would posit that that mode of thought is outdated, and the people that are going to be most successful in the future are the people that can learn to think for themselves, that can learn to think on the fly, learn to let go of what they think they know, learn to accept the unknown and the unexpected. And TFT can help our society make that transition at a psychological level. And that is also the role of art. Einstein said, "The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion which stands at the cradle of true art and true science. Whoever does not know it and can no longer wonder, no longer marvel, is as good as dead." And so when I think about this with TFT, going back to that question of like viewing TFT as a solved game versus like Weijin's idea of play the game or playing true flex TFT, it's like I believe and I agree with Einstein that this game is the most beautiful when you don't know all the answers. You're not, in this sense, I kind of agree with Riot removing the augment stats. It's like not so much about the augment stats, it's about like the mystery of playing with the unknown and ideally treating each unique circumstance as fully contextual about what is good in that moment and how you can act differently, and not just blindly accepting what you've heard from the outside, and being curious at what could happen, as opposed to already having a prediction in your mind and then just executing a game plan where you already know the path that you are taking, but like being open-minded and truly crafting your own reality as opposed to letting it come your way. And so this aspect of mystery, I believe, is actually pretty core to TFT. Of like when you queue up a new game, it's like the mystery and curiosity of where could this game go. So I hope that this meta mindset resonated with you in some way. I'm curious as to your thoughts about how you view TFT and art, whether you think TFT is art, and how these ideas might extend into your life. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments. With that said, I'm going to jump into the coaching session with Broseph. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so I just got a shit ton of questions.
About the patch, yeah?
Yeah.
Sounds good. This is a very new patch.
Lots of stuff.
Yep.
I have not played any games yet on this patch. I played some on PvE, and and part of it is because I'm sitting right now for trials, but I'm gonna play in sub-regionals tomorrow.
Yep.
And it's also kind of like a shitty spot where like I would like to get practice with higher elo players, but I don't want to play on my main, so I just kind of have to
Yep.
play on a new like a Smurf ranked account.
Yep. Mhm.
So yeah, I guess it is what it is. So yeah, just go through this list, and then if we have time, we could do some TFT Dojo. My guess is I have more than enough content here to cover like the whole
Yep.
session with
Mhm.
questions.
Yep.
Okay, so we can start with this. You
It's
see this?
still a little small for me. Yeah. That's great. That's great.
Okay, so this is comparing this patch to last patch, both Diamond
Uh-huh.
Plus, which is not perfect, especially at higher elo, but sample size is small. And then I also filtered this morning by last day. I don't know exactly if they do 24-hour filter or not, but because the hotfix was not technically a new patch, MetaTFT doesn't have like
Yep.
a separate filter for it.
Yep.
Like Ionia, Yanara, and Fast9 Draven did fall a little bit in the stats, so I think that shows a little bit, but it's not perfect. But I guess
Yep.
just like kind of get a high
Best you
level
got.
picture.
Yep.
So Acel obviously looks really good. This one's been kind of surprising. We're just talking about it in the Discord.
Mhm.
Do you see this often, or in what spots are you like kind of angling this? What people are talking about
This is
is like maybe you're
yeah.
going Acel and then on your roll down you hit like a Seraphine 2 and you just stabilize there, go 9 with it, and then angle this. Or you get like aura farming Annie or Azir, and then you could angle this. Or if you go Yordles Fast 9, this could be the default instead of Riggs, because Riggs looks pretty
Yeah.
bad.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on this one?
So I assume this board is like the Seraphine core plus Arcanist Seraphine. Yeah, it's just literally that board except with an Annie on it. I will point out that the most common variation of that. Wait, is it? What is that? What is that ASO board? What is that
Yeah,
saying?
I think the data is probably getting mixed with ASOL, which is why I don't necessarily trust this fully. I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think that is. I think that's an. I think it's mostly an ASO board or like that line where you play towards ASO. Um, the Annie is pretty good on the board. Like Annie Tibbers, pretty solid, especially if you don't have your Shuriman. All the Targons are bad, and then like most of the legendaries are not that good, and like having a Tibbers on the board is like fairly useful. This board definitely exists. Like the board exists. People play it sometimes, but it's just it's just truly a fast 9 board that I think is it's kind of rare to be able to get into a spot to play it. The spot is like you roll down on 8 and then you just hit a bunch of stuff and not the ASOL. So you're carrying Seraphine up until you can get to Annie, and that's kind of it. The problem is that the items aren't even the same. So I don't know what exactly that is. I think it's a trick. I don't know how you get to exactly that board. But okay, yeah, I don't know how you get exactly to that board. I think it's a stats trick, I think.
I mean, if you have like let's say you have adaptive and Shojin slammed, or I guess
Yeah,
you
but
want
you
JG
just wouldn't
Nashers,
have
right?
it playing ASOL. If you're playing ASOL, you just wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
You have to have like an extra. I mean, like you would somehow have to have an extra copy of those items, which can happen. But and then what would happen is like your damage items go on your Seraphine, and then your mana items go like your Shojin Void go on your Annie, and your JG Nasher go on your Seraphine. I think
Right.
it's fine. Like, can you look at the actual games? I am so curious about what these are. All right, now can you filter for anything above anything like Master Plus? Yeah, sure, this works. Is this Korean? What is this from?
Let's just do Challenger.
What region? VN? This is a VN board? Oh, it's probably
Korean, VN, Korean.
so APAC is
Little
playing.
Bear. Lil Bear's also from Asia, right?
Yeah, he's from APAC. Yeah, I mean that's an Ishtal game. No, okay, so
yeah.
that Little Bear played it from Ishtal, which makes sense because like that actually makes sense.
Okay, let's exclude
Um,
Ishtal.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter that much. No,
Is-
I don't know how these guys are getting to these boards.
It's all VN.
They're just playing AP Fast 9 into this board. That's it. That's all it is. It runs 4 Arcanist. You play the Annie, and you duo carry the Shreeman. It's a Fast 9 board.
Okay. Okay, so it seems like this is the preferred AP Fast 9 angle over Riggs then, because Riggs looks pretty
Yeah,
balanced.
I believe it. I believe in this. Yeah, the Annie buff is like pretty reasonable.
Yeah, Dehua made a good point. There's no firsts here.
No first on the Fast 9 board, huh? Okay, yeah.
Okay. What else to call out here? Baron looks very good. How viable do you feel like Ionia is now? Like, because this is the Kindred thing's still kind of mixed in the stats. Like, what power level do you think it actually is?
I still think I think before it was like the best. It was like probably the best comp in the game on average. Now it's probably not. It might have been one of the things keeping Acel in check. That thing actually giga count on Acel because it would delete one of its casts, which is usually enough to flip the fight. Now I think it's like a low S or a high A tier comp. It's just a good comp.
Okay. So Fast 9 Draven, I assume, is just dead.
I don't know. I think it's maybe still reasonable. I'm not sure. I do think that the change to Kindred was for sure a buff, at least at 2-star for sure.
Okay, so even after the hotfix, you
The
still think
hotfix?
it's a net buff.
Yeah, especially because Draven is buffed. No, it's for sure like an insane net buff in my opinion.
Okay, so it still could be viable. Like, are you willing to?
I'm willing to try this from Draven. Yeah,
Kraken,
Draven
you're
or
willing to
both.
slam it. What about like heroic grab bag? You willing to dupe Draven?
No. That's just unless you have like 5 component opener or something that's just never good in the first place.
Okay. All right. So then it's just a standard, like how Draven Fast 9 used to work, where you get it from an orb with a slam. You're usually not even streaking early. You probably want to roll on 3-5, hit a 2-star Draven, and then hopefully take that to 9.
I just hope that I don't have to roll even. Like I just hope that I play the early. I hope that I play the early game and mid game well enough that I'm just streaking. Because Draven is strong.
Draven too. That's the hope.
Yeah, or roll when you hit a critical mass of pairs, and if Draven's one of them, then it's good. It's lucky.
Okay, so you put it at like A tier.
I guess. Yeah, I would never force the spot. Like I would never like lost streak into playing it. But like if it's my best opener, I'm gonna play my best opener.
Okay. Let's see. Demacia last patch, the Lux Invoker variant looked better than the long shot variant, and then with the Kaisa change, it looks like they kind of converged more now. 4.2 here.
Yeah, I noticed something similar. Yeah.
So now you kind of like playing either one is good. Although this one caps out lower, probably because you can't get to Ziggs as much.
Fine. Sure,
but for top 4 purposes, this is still solid.
Yep.
Okay. What else had a big diff? Veigar fell off because of Fizz. Are you still willing to play Veigar? Like if you get a Pandora's spot?
Pandora's? I'm pretty sure you have to somehow be holding Yorls, which is rare in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you need to get the rods quickly from Deadlier Cap's rod or Replication rod. And hopefully with a rod. Like I do not want to play this on low tempo.
Okay, and you're not even really trying to hold the Yordle, so basically you wouldn't end up in this line most of the time.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Wait, Dehua said Demacia is the only way to play towards Yordle or Veigar. Tempo,
I mean, that's just a different spot. The spot is like
you have
you
Sona
literally get the
2,
raw
Jarvan
augment.
2.
And then you literally get the raw augment on 3-2 or 4-2, and then you just unlock the Veigar and play it.
Oh,
Or
okay, okay.
probably 3-2. You just unlock it, play it on your Demacia board, and like drop like Lissandra or something. There's no way people play that board, or like it's just literally 7 Demacia.
It's just 7 Demacia with Veigar like this, and then just all the Demacias.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just dual carry the Veigar and like the Lux, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're already in Demacia and somehow get fought for...
Well, I don't think doing that is good. My opinion is that doing that is not. I'm pretty sure you would usually rather do something else, like with your augment or like, or just like play around Liss or Zillion or something. That's my opinion.
Okay, like it's like okay.
I mean, it looks
stats.
fine.
It's not.
I
It's
mean,
not
of the
amazing.
79 games played, it looks fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Viego. Oh wait, that's Viego Hero. Where's... Oh, Callista. Given that it's easier to unlock now, and I guess it just didn't really have a high cap before, especially if you don't hit Thresh 2, and all the other high cap stuff had been nerfed. How do you feel about Callista? And then also, how do you feel about the Callista / Velvet duo? Callista / Velvet / Ambessa.
Yeah, Viego line is, or sorry, Shadow Isle line I think is fairly good. I'm fairly happy to play around the Viego too. I think you still need Viego too. I think you need Yorick unlocked by 2-1, but that's easy now.
Yep.
You no longer have to commit an item to it. With Ambessa duo is like very normal. Like you just put the BT plus whatever other AD items you have, especially if she's the first 2-star you hit compared to Callista. I also think that the Slayer version is like fine. Like the Slayer version is cool. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it also seems a little bit hard to get your hands on the items. I guess you could like put like the QS and the QS and the Kraken make a lot of sense to go on the Viego. And I think playing towards it is actually good. I played like the Warden variation of Slayers, and I think that version is like very good. Or like a very good tool to have for bolstering your front line, because then you can kind of just like put whatever on the board and it helps a lot. So I would be fairly happy to play the Viego.
Warden variant look like?
You literally like at a basic level, don't put builds on the board, but you play was it?
Are you not playing Noxus?
You don't have to play Noxus, no. Like the board I run can just run 2 Noxus. It's fine. Like the board is just like you just run Braum, Nautilus, Loris, Swain, yeah. Like Swain, like Rek'Sai is fine. Like Swain, Rek'Sai, or like even Cog is okay. Like it runs like the ugliest trait web you've ever seen, but like it just doesn't matter. The wardens.
Okay, wardens are just too strong.
Yeah, and you can also run Noxus. Like what you can do at like a simple level is you can drop Rek'Sai Loris and you can play Alawi Scion. It's totally cool. The biggest idea is just that Braum is good and very important to hold.
Okay, so you feel like out of all the 4 costs, Braum is the best tank right now?
No, not necessarily. I feel like Braum is better than Taric, which I think matters because your other best tank before was Taric. And I don't think this will show you what you would want to see. I think this tells you that Asol is good.
Okay.
Anyways, and like Demacia. I think Braum is stronger than Taric. I also think that Braum is an additional tank that you can hit, which matters a lot in this board because you really, really, really need a good tank as quickly as you can. Like a premium, like a 4 cost or plus tank.
Okay, so then in Slayers, when you're doing your roll down, you're flexing between your front line could be basically Braum, If you unlock Herald, it could be that. It could be Wukong.
I think if you have Herald, you're just playing Herald.
Right. Okay. He's like kind of 4, and I guess you can even throw on Tarek, or you're not even holding this on your roll down.
Oh, Tarek is fine. Tarek's good. I played Tarek in the tournament game yesterday. Tarek's good.
Okay, so you're just holding all of these on your roll down because you need to have something that holds up the front line. No?
Yeah, you need to have a premium tank. Yeah.
Okay.
Like every comp in the game needs a premium tank. Like Build spiked a lot with a premium tank. This comp needs a premium tank. Shadow Isles needs a premium tank. Like every comp in the game needs a premium tank.
Okay, that's good.
And like the adaptation, the preference for playing Braum is slightly an exploit, given that our belief was that people underplay the Braum.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Braum was the most contested unit in the game, then you would play the Braum, like then you would angle the Braum less, or like have less of an affinity to play around the Braum. But it's not the most contested unit in the game. That would be Swain.
Yeah.
And you cannot rely on Swain being your only tank in the comp, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Then in what spot would you, from the Callista board, go into trio carry with Callista, Ambessa, and Belveth? Is it only if you basically have Belveth items and not Thresh items?
Basically, I'll explain it. The setup, there's one of 2 setups that is common. The first setup is where you build multiple frontline AD items in succession. So like you have like QSS, Kraken, and then like DB, Striker, GS, some combination of those. That will usually just like happily be Ambessa, because like a lot of those items are just good on Ambessa, like the straight damage and the crit are good, and like Hodge and stuff. If you build, especially if you build like a healing item, that usually wants to go on Ambessa. The other situation that happens sometimes is when you're forced to build something like Last Whisper and you're already on this line, or actually like the spot where you'd want to play Callista is if you can equip a Last Whisper on it, basically, and like maybe use your tiers for something that's more useful than like a second Hodge or something. Or like if you're like forced to build a Shojin somehow, which probably shouldn't happen. So basically, the Callista is useful for leveraging like a red buff or a Last Whisper and like overflow AD items. And the Ambessa is especially useful for leveraging a Hand of Justice plus leftover AD items. On the Shadow Isle line, we don't know if it might or might not be better to just full default the Belveth, because then you can like make use of it like a Ginsu Titans healing, or like Ginsu Titans plus like any other damage item would be fairly chill as well, which are like the best items on Viego. Like the best items on Viego are almost exactly the Belveth items because they're the same kind of unit. That's like when you would really want to be able to leverage it. The Kraken's not that good on Viego, but everything else is very good, especially Titans. Yeah, so if you're forced to make those kinds of items, then I think playing towards the Slayers is quite good for you, I would imagine. It also helps to have like a lot of items. Somehow it's like quite a bit worse if you're sitting on like min components and like silver augments. Then you just don't have that many components. But that's the situation where you would want to angle from the Shadow Isles into the Belveth. And I think that's probably a very good adjustment. I forget if that comp can run a Slayer. Oh yeah, you would just put the GP on the board. Yeah, the GP just goes on the board. And then you like GP goes on the board, and if you don't have any items for Ambessa, you don't even have to put an Ambessa 1 on the board then. Because like the Ambessa 1 on those boards were very weak before. So you can kind of like play some more frontline, and that's pretty nice.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense. Echo, are you still, how do you feel about Echo? It looks worse in the stats, both because of the
Echo's
nerf and
clearly
Nico.
worse.
Yeah, Nico's like contested by the Ishtal players.
Yeah, Echo's clearly worse. It also gets blown up by ASO in a way that it usually cannot come back from. So I think if your Echo spot's very good, it's chill. I've top forward with Echo on this patch. It comes from just relentless tempo. Like you do not want to have like I think it's quite bad to have a weak Echo spot because your Echo 3 or like Echo 2 just gets like 50 0'd by like any ASO board on stage 4. Even Echo 3 can lose if they have a good tank and like they've had the ASO for a few turns. So yeah, I think funnily enough, Bilge in the mid game was one of its better matchups, and
Yeah.
you kind of don't have that anymore. So yeah, the line is fine. You want your spot to actually be good. I don't think it. I think on the old patch it was like one person per game should play Echo. On this patch, I think is probably you want to have a good spot for Echo to play it.
Okay, last patch I was like perfectly willing to play into Echo from Lost Streak. What I'm hearing from you is like not worth playing from Lost Streak anymore.
I mean, like Lost Streak, if you have a good augment for it, it's chill. Like you don't want to take. You probably don't want to play Trade Sector into it from Lost Streak. But like probably if you have Calc Loss and your opener was otherwise bad, or especially you have too much value and you get double the rolls that you normally get, then it's good, I think.
Although from those spots, wouldn't you just prefer angling ASOL anyway?
ASOL is the better angle from those lines, from those augments, yes. So you basically have no reason to want to play Echo.
Yeah, it's like true Lost Streak spots you want to go ASOL, and then like
Yeah. I think you're right. I think Echo is truly tempo this patch. I realize, yeah. I think you're right.
Okay. Warwick looks pretty bad in the stats. Like 7's on seems like the best variant, but you're not gonna get unless you have spat. So like, are you playing any Warwick at all?
I have not angled very much Warwick. I think if you have like a tempo-ish Zon spot, it's probably supposed to be Echo. If you have how can you even have a Lost Streak AD spot? Like a Lost Streak AD spot? Bro, those components don't even exist. Like other than sword, bow is half Nasher and glove is half JG. So I don't even know what you could be playing, and those are also good Kaisa components if you can soft loss into that. I don't think it has a place, personally. Right now, I would basically never angle it, because I think it's dominated by some combination of Kaisa and Hazel.
Yeah, makes sense. Maybe the only spot is like you're tempoing Echo full streak Titans BT, and then you don't hit any more copies by like 3-2. So then maybe just tempo it into win streak Warwick.
Yeah, that's fine. Especially if you hit natural like a Vi2 and it can hold it. That's probably what you would try to do. Because like sometimes you'll be able to continue to tempo with a Vi2. You have one Echo, and then you don't want to roll for it with no econ. So yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about this Aphelios Defender board now? Also runs into the issue of Nico being contested. But if let's say if Nico's not contested.
No, you can run other frontline. That's like that comp can actually run other frontline, I think.
So standard is this.
Like you can just play the 2-star 4-cost tanks. That's fine. Like you can play towards Loras 2 and a Bromp 2. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so typically it's just either Defender or Warden.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your take on like what the spot is to go into this versus other spots?
It's like Aphelios tempo, pretty sure. Like it has to be tempo. You have to have an Aphelios. Heavy in the crown is good. Too much value is probably fine. With like a reasonable board, you really want to have like either a bow or a sword item to start because those are not that easy to acquire. Yeah, and then you just try to get You try to get third or fourth, I think.
Okay. Freljord Invokers with the buffs to Sedge and Braum. This is one of the bigger improvements aside from ASOL, basically minus 0.4 diff.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this as like the default 4-cost AP line?
I guess aside
from Lux.
You're talking about 5 Freljord? Is that what you looked up, or
this? Yeah, this one I think is 5 Freljord, 4 Invoker because Anivia was also buffed, right?
Did you filter out emblems?
Oh, no, I was just looking at the comps page.
Okay. Maybe I don't know. Like it might be the same anyways.
Which one is it? I think it's this one. But I guess this one's also highly dependent on Zillion.
Is it? It looks okay.
Oh, this one has an emblem too.
No, it's no, that doesn't matter. So this is 5 Freljord list solo. Nah, I don't trust this. I'm. What, so there's an Ornn on the board. It's showing a level. It's showing a level 9 board.
Yeah, it's showing
Otherwise,
a
there's
bunch of
no
5
Warden on
costs.
the board. What the? What does it say the average is?
I mean, this is probably skewed by people getting to level 9.
Oh, it's only showing level 8 boards. Okay, yeah, sure. No,
These
that's
are the
fair.
8 boards.
How do the level 9 boards do?
These are
I mean, they're level
no-items.
9. Yeah. I don't trust this as a hard lean. What I mean by that is I don't know if you load up into the game or like load up into a spot and like, all right, I'm gonna play exactly this board on level 8. I think that's probably bad. The strategy that kind of works is like knowing your range of options for playing AP off a bruiser opener on your level 8 roll down, which comprises of some combination. We can go over the board real quick if you want.
Yeah, let's do
It's
it.
like,
So this is from a Scion opener typically. One
yeah,
like
Scion or a Nivea 3 failure opener is also good.
Nivea
So
3
yeah,
Freljord. Okay, so
a
I'm very
Nivea 3
familiar
failure
with this.
or
What's
like a Nivea Nico is also good.
so this is like something like wait, now you want to play it around where is she? This? That's
Yeah. The Orion
actually
is
this.
really good and free. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, this is chill.
Which opener do you like more? Scion or this?
I know the bottom opener is stronger. It's just harder to get it.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to get a Sejuani.
And are you
Like the
willing to
bottom one's like
play this
Sejuani boss.
around Ori 1, Sedge 1?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know how you could have them 2-star, but yeah, they would be very good to play around on 1-star.
Okay.
I don't mind a Sejuani one on stage 2.
So either of these openers can lead us to. Let me first copy this. So this is like these are like kind of the standard either. These are the standard invoker opener, right? Basically.
Yep.
And then you're saying on the level 8 roll down, you want to flex what?
Yeah. So you need a front line first. So your front line is gonna be flexing between Loris, Braum, or Wukong, Kabuko, or Terra. Yeah, you have this about right. Yeah.
So you already have Kobuko, yeah. So
Yeah,
like
you should have
these,
Kabuko. Terra is just flexible. And then if you run the Loris, you will for sure put a Seraphine on your board for sure.
either way, you're playing.
Sometimes
Liz.
you'll play lists all the time. And then if you don't have the left side, okay, so if you have the right side is a bit harder to do without having a cannon.
Yeah, this was
like
like
you
the
can just
old
run.
volley rise basically angle, right? To go 9.
Yeah, it's like it's the same kind of board, right? It's like what else fits on that board? Like cannon makes it solvent.
This, right?
Yeah, Wukong puts it together. Yeah, basically that. Left board is just like it's just that plus volley as well, if possible. Like these lines all want volley. Like your game is very hard to play if you don't have volley bear. It's okay if you're like waiting on it for a little bit. You would just hold one copy of the other Freljord so that you can at least complete Freljord on the board, I think. And then you can like replace a random slot, especially if you don't have Tarek, with like a random bruiser that you have, and then make a reasonable board in the middle. But just know that you're trying to play either around like Braum as your tank with like Laura Seraphine or Wukong as or just Wukong as your tank. And you just carry a list and like you can even throw in like a zillion somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, so in the Scion opener is like way easier to unlock volley. If we are not playing around the Scion opener, then we really need belts, right? Belts become Cryos off carousel or like belt augment.
Yeah.
In the case, I've also seen people do like this 6 bruiser set. With was it?
Yeah,
with
I don't think
Lissandra?
that's really real.
Okay.
Wait, when have you seen that? Recently?
I saw it in multiple games and scrims.
Interesting. Did it look good?
It looked reasonably good, yeah. Um,
All right, interesting.
I mean, it was just all the bruisers plus because you already have the 2 Ionian bruisers that you just throw in set, and then
Like I know the line. You just play 6. Is this from lifting competition or they're just playing it in general or what?
I think they were just
You
playing
can
in
play this
general.
like this is like a fine cheat to get to 9. Like if your spot's good, like
What it allowed is that we're set. You
it's
already
easier
have
to unlock. Yeah.
yeah. If you already have JG, then you don't even need to like roll for list 2. You already have a strong tank here, and then if you have items for both of these, like, and you're unlocking this, you have like I mean, Edge of Night's pretty strong now. But if you have something like this plus whatever 1 or 2 tank items here, like these two seem to like be very stable. Like they were either winning fights or losing fights by like only a little bit.
Yeah. No, they're good for that. I would be surprised if tournament play. I would be surprised if tournament play actually matched. Like if the
Yeah,
boards
that's
were
fair.
that weak,
Because people
like
were
if they
also
weren't really
experimenting with
strong,
ASOL like
they're
and just
playing
shit boards.
some dog shit. Yeah. No. Those scrims always lean really greedy, which makes this better.
Makes
And then
sense.
it's just never greedy in the actual tournament.
Yeah, and I guess old volley rise, like you really didn't want to roll much on 8, but now it's like maybe because of the level change where it costs 8 more gold, you just generally don't want to angle level 9 unless you're like in a super premium spot, right?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
So most of the time when you're playing Freljord Bruiser now, you expect to roll pretty deep on 8, I assume.
I mean, the 9 is just really expensive, right?
Yeah.
And like oftentimes you need to at least 2-star Kabuko, otherwise you won't be able to unlock the volley bear.
Mhm.
I guess if you have like a very strong long stacking Scion, it's fine, or like a Warmogs, it makes it easy. But
Well, the other
yeah,
thing with 6 Bruiser is you have a much higher likelihood of being able to unlock Volibear with just a 2-star Scion that's
that
been
would be
stacked.
easy. That
So
would
you
be
get
easy
like
with
a
this board.
double benefit, and it's like kind of
Mhm.
cheap. You don't need to roll.
Yeah, like you try this out. This is like the sugar board from Paris. I would be surprised if this does consistently well, is what I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the most part, this is kind of how you're thinking about it, and the list Seraphine board gets a lot better if you have Disruptor
Azir?
or Invoker
Yeah.
Emblem.
Oh, Disruptor Emblem's like
And then also
insanely
Azir.
broken on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although if you have Invoker Emblem, do you want to just hard force ASOL?
I don't know how you get into that spot.
Okay.
What spot do you have Invoker?
I don't know. Like, let's say you have,
It has to be like
You're-
exactly a rise or something. Like
or like you're tempoing this board, and then like, I don't know, you get dropped a pan off of loot sub.
if you're
or
tempoing this board, you would make Bruiser Emblem. Bruiser Emblem's better.
their emblem's better.
It is better. You can drop a Tarek in a lot of cases and go up a tier in Bruisers.
Okay. So I guess the other thing is if you are tempoing either of these lines, but you natural Ateric in stage 3, are you willing to pivot to ASOL at that point?
Yeah. You should. If your items are, you should. Especially if you're winning, your spot's good, your items are reasonable. You want to go back and look for like you always want to be holding like the Aphelios just in case. But oh wait, the Tarek helps. Yeah, the Tarek helps. The Tarek is like you're gonna have to roll deep on 7 actually.
Right.
In the spot that you have, which I think is fine. Like you get Asol is actually he's actually hella flexible. I think you can literally play him on this board, and it's like actually totally fine. And it would be good as well. Because he's like truly traitless, right? And like this board gives him some reasonable buffs. The other board gives him some reasonable buffs. I think you could just play him on this board, and it would be good. It is what you would try to do. You would just have to roll deep on 7 to have the unlocks.
Okay. So what I'm seeing here is that by default, this Scion LeBlanc opener leans more towards the Bruiser variant, and then this Anivia Oriana Sedge board leans more towards this Seraphine Loris variant.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then if you happen to natural Tarek on stage 3, if you're like ahead of tempo, you level to 7 on 3-5, you natural Tarek on 3-6, then you just pivot to ASOL. Well,
Yep.
so you roll for whatchamacallit?
You have to roll for Leona on
Leona
7.
too,
You can't
yeah.
roll for Leona on 8. Yeah.
Although I feel like by default you would just get out of. Well, I guess if you hit a Loris 2, then you can just stay in this board. But by default, you would go towards the old like Diana board without Diana,
You can. Yeah. Yeah.
or I guess with Diana. But okay,
Yep.
okay, that makes sense.
The funny thing is, the left board is actually a little bit easier to unlock cannon with, because the right, like the Scion opener only runs Shen 2. This one the opener should run 2 defenders.
Oh,
So like
okay.
if you upgrade one of them, it becomes easier to do. It's also a little bit easier to upgrade them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's good observation. I think the key insight I have is when going this opener, you really got prio belts to unlock volley.
Yep.
Okay. Void Kaisa is the singed variant, the standard that you're rolling for on level 8, or like are you flexing it? How are you thinking about level 8 for Void right
I
now?
think the Bruiser board is better to play. I also don't think you're supposed to flex that version. The big reason why, especially now, is now the Ziggs is not as good as it was before. So it makes less sense to invest, like to sack some of your strength on level 8 to be able to play it, I think. Or like to empower your Ziggs on level 9. Because that's the reason why you played the other board. Because like partly because it was cheap, and partly because Ziggs is empowered by that other board.
Mm-hmm.
I would be happy playing what you're showing on the screen right now. You would play the Swain. The Swain does go on the board, I think.
Oh right, Swain, I forgot.
Yeah.
Before
And then you play
6.
Kabuko. You play Kabuko over Shen. Kabuko is better. Kabuko is broken, in fact.
Okay, and so you have in your notes AD Kaisa better than AP Kaisa. If we're playing the
They're about the
Arcanist,
same. They're about the same.
okay, because if this is your standard variant with 4 Bruiser and you're playing Swain Cog, like I assume you prefer AP then, so you don't like really waste this trait value.
It doesn't matter. I think the trait is like perfectly reasonable as some trickle value to your frontline units. And there's just no AD Arcanist either, so like the comparison is like it's kind of balanced around the AD not having that trait that buffs it really.
Okay. So are you're saying you're not flexing this at all? You're just forcing this.
Yeah, this is just the better version to play towards, I think.
Okay. I think we had talked last time about unriveting if you have blast shields doing the Piltover, like this variant. You think is even with blast shields that's just not worth going? Exactly what the board was. It was with like Singed as well.
I think if you somehow have extra items for Seraphine, this version's good to play. How many units do we drop here? We drop. Yeah. Okay.
2, 4, 6, 8, like this. It's like much cheaper.
This is the board,
I think.
Is it much cheaper? I don't think it's much cheaper.
Yeah, I guess
it's not much cheaper. We also don't run Swain. Wait, you would play Swain over Singed, right? Yeah, it's not Singed, it's Swain.
Right.
Yeah, I would only play this board if I have items for Seraphine.
Okay.
Which can make it fine to make items for Seraphine. Like if you're somehow like on like a bunch of items, somehow you can just go like 3 item Kate, 3 item Seraphine, and then put them onto the Seraphine, and it's chill.
So for the 4 Bruiser variant, do you usually want to itemize Volley 1 as your dual carry?
You have nowhere else to put your items, so yes.
Okay, so basically standard is this, but if you happen to have an overflow of AP items, then you can go into this variant.
Sure, yeah. Which I think is kind of rare.
Yeah. I think it's like that, and you have blast shields, right?
if you have like something, yeah.
or like
I mean, if you have
Pogs.
overflow AP, I don't even know what. I don't even know like if you're generally allowed to have overflow AP. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Rigs, I assume we're just not really playing anymore.
Probably not. I've seen it do okay, but like if you have, it's like exactly a tempo RE with like an Econ Ionia spot, and this makes sense to play into. I think because like you hold way more of that board playing that line compared to anything else.
Although even with that line, wouldn't you just prefer angling into the Seraphine Annie board that we talked about?
I mean, that one you might want to play. I don't even know. I think the versions with Set and Zillion of the Annie board are probably better right
Oh, the
now.
like OG
Yeah, the OG version
Yordle.
for Arcanist. Yeah.
Okay.
The difference is that I think there used to be a higher prio on Senna than there is now, I believe.
Right. Okay. Or you could just flex it. I guess it also depends on your items, like whether you're going rigs or RE.
Depends on your items.
Or I mean
Yeah, it depends on your
Annie.
item. It does. It does. Annie needs like quite, or Annie wants pretty specific items. Yeah.
Okay. 7 Noxus, how are you feeling about I guess we're still playing the Scion LeBlanc openers, which because you can't really get to level 9 as easily as before, this could be another out
Yeah, it's pretty chill. Yeah.
aside from the Freljord board that we talked about.
Yeah, I think the comp is pretty reasonable for sure.
Okay.
You want to have tempo. If you don't have tempo, you're eighth. This is like purely a tempo comp. Like you need your opener to be good.
Yeah.
You need to take an augment that helps make your board stronger. You might need to roll for some of the 2 stars at some point, and you need to get the 7 Noxus online early-ish, which might mean you're kind of at the will of Darius showing up on time.
Right. And this is no good anymore, it looks like.
It doesn't look good.
All sample, but yeah, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Okay. Slayers and Belveth. Basically no change in the stats. I would have expected Belveth to look a little bit better because of the Void mod change. What's your thoughts on that?
Uh
Could also be that this is Diamond Plus, and so a lot of them don't know how to play it or aren't playing it optimally.
I'm pretty sure they just play the comp. Wait, what is Slayer Belveth? That's different from GP reroll. Is it just no GP3 or what?
Or yeah, this is just Belveth and that's primary. This is like primary GP Belveth.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of spots you're not supposed to play Bilgewater on the board. That's all. I think it's better if you don't play Bilgewater, and I don't think that's reflected well in the stats.
Okay, so you like this line still.
Yep.
And then we're probably just angling GP a little bit less.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Ishtal reroll, still like it a lot, right? In the right spot.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So I think that covers my that spreadsheet. What are you playing from Lost Streak right now?
ASOL.
Yeah.
ASOL. Especially with like a Lost Streak augment, it's ASOL. Otherwise, it's probably Slayers otherwise. And like you're not even that happy about it. I don't know if there's much else you'd want to play. Probably Slayers, I think.
Okay, not Warwick. Lost Streak into Kaisa?
Kaisa's fine. Yeah. If you can cook up the void, Kaisa's very reasonable.
Okay, so it's really about having Rift Herald at a reasonable time.
Yeah, Slayers, you don't have to have the Rift Herald. Like if you're cooking up Econ with Bilge, it's fine as well.
Okay. So AP is really just Lux and the Seraphine slash Lissandra.
AP flex. AP flex is some kind of Freljord base board, or like in rarer cases, a Seraphine Swain base board.
Yeah, and this board is probably you were trying to go for ASOL and you missed.
Or like or like you're just opener. Like I can see it. I could realistically see a world where you have like just a strong generic AP opener. You like have an Ari, or you have like what the hell else could you have? I realize like all the one cost AP is like not that good. Um, yeah, like you have an Ari or you have a Zoe. Yeah, there are not good 2 cost AP carries at all. Actually, you could be like temp.
It was just Teemo, right?
Yeah,
But you're not
yeah,
using
Timo.
holding.
Yeah, yeah. No, okay. It's
You're not holding
like
these
or
really.
yeah, yeah. It's like you have Ari, Zoe, or Nivea 2. You slam good tempo items, like good strong items. Then you can just like go up and play the Seraphine board, especially if like that's more of the flat line that you hit, I suppose. So like just like strong AP opener, I think is totally allowed to play into that board. You just roll for the Seraphine, you play the units on your board. If you natural enough Leonas, then you can slam the Ace on the board and you do well. Otherwise, you'll be okay. Otherwise, I think as well. And then that would probably be the spot where you level a 9 for the Annie and like slap the mana items on the Annie and call it a day.
Okay. Going to
But it
your
requires yeah.
but
I was gonna say that requires a good understanding of how to make a good AP board. You play a bad AP board, you're instantly eighth. I'm pretty sure trying to play that
right.
because the comp it's not easy to navigate. I think, or at least for me, it would not be easy to navigate.
Okay.
I've seen like Dish Open Wage and Do Well; they're quite proficient on those lines.
Okay. On the subject of sub-regionals this weekend and our conversation about having more decision points, which lines do you feel like on your tier list support this idea more, and which lines do you feel like don't as much?
Yeah, I'll add a quick caveat to that you is you got to be good enough to beat the ASO boards on average, which is not the easiest thing to do, but it is doable. But back to that, I think Unara you can get there. I think Slayers you can get there.
Actually, maybe before we even get to this, on your point about ASOL, what are the best comps that go into ASOL? Or at least preserve the most HP.
Yeah, it's the one that preserves the most. It's whatever like tempo you have, like tempo echo, tempo reroll, like Aphelios, high tempo Slayers, high tempo void, all the stuff that preserves HP. You just have to beat everyone else. You need to beat most of the other players who are not playing ASO on stage 2 and stage 3, essentially. Like you're not going to counter all of them, but you'll hopefully for sure counter 1 or 2 of them if there's like 2 or 3 in total.
Okay, so basically, you don't. Once ASOL hits, there's no counter.
Right? The highest roll ASOL player will probably win the lobby. The rest will probably bot 4.
Right. Okay.
So if you're not playing ASOL and you're not getting like a really powerful spot, I would not expect to be able to beat it. Because if they like live at, because it just comes down to you're improving your board with gold, they're improving their board with gold, and their board just gets stronger every 2 turns by like another like 12%. They just get almost a gold augment every 2 turns, and then like what can you do?
Yeah. Okay. All right, back to this question.
Yeah. Comp list, decision points. I'd say like Ishtal can actually do fairly reasonably because it can get to a spot where it can win on stage 4. Like Ticket, Ishtal is like probably what you would reasonably try to play, other than playing ASOL yourself in a majority of cases. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I think Slayers has like a lot of those decision points. I think Unara has a lot of those decision points too. I think Void does as well. I think Demacia probably does as well. There's something like playing strongest board, picking right augments, all those stuff. Leveling when it counts, etc. I think like these are like the good, like the fast 8 strategy played well from good spots. Like being able to identify those good spots generally are able to are basically on average able to allow you to gain incremental advantage over your opponents by just playing better. That requires you to play better and requires you to get like a reasonable roll. Like you won't always do better even if you play the best. And it also requires you to like really not bleed lives, which I think is both important and kind of hard to do, just on making like snappy, quick decisions every turn. But this is the way that you would do it, I think.
Okay. And what lines have less decision points? I assume ASOL falls in that category if we're hard forcing it.
ASOL, a high econ ASOL has like econ ASOL force has less decision points. I think like opportunistic ASOL kind of has a lot of decision points, but like yeah. I think like open echo, I think like technically the Sona, all the Sona lines have very few decision points. I think Noxus technically has less, like not very many decision points. This is like vertical Noxus.
Yeah.
Vayne has not that many, but like either the line is good or not, right? Like if it's good enough, then it doesn't really matter, right? Like if it's good enough, then you would still do it because it just wins on average.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the main ones I can think of, like on the list. That's like a lot of the comps, anyways. I think.
Okay. So it sounds like by default, if I just like focus on these 4 as the main ones to play like 80% of my games on, then I should be.
This is a very good foundational general strategy. Yeah.
Yeah. I should be able to
That's
farm
what
a
I'm
bunch
like.
of top 4s.
Yeah,
That's what I'm like. Win, and I take my humble second or thirds.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Given that we only have about 5 minutes left, let's talk about ASOL then.
Yeah.
How forcible do you feel like ASOL is, and in what spots are you? Like basically, what I'm thinking right now. It's either you have a hard loss streak econ force ASOL, or you're playing it from opportunistic tempo AP.
I think.
Or do you think it's more
There's
forcible
an
than that?
in-between.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what I think about the comp. I think you can just jam your highest econ option on 2-1. Especially if you take one of the good ones, or like one of the ones that give you a lot of gold, like savings account or ticket or like hedge fund. Ticket you might have to econ because that doesn't give you actual gold. But like savings account, hedge fund,
Calculus.
calculus, too much value, I think kind of counts as well. Okay, calculus is a little bit different because you're more incentivized to lose. But what I'm about to say is that like you don't like the condition for doing well in this comp is A, being able to hit early enough. I would say by like 4-2 or 4-3, your ASOL, and B, being able to win stage 4. That's and like your job is not that hard to be able to win stage 4. I actually had a session earlier that where I went over this already. So like if you want to, it would be in my VOD. It's like near the start of the VOD where like I talk about this kind of in depth. So I would recommend watching it after if you have the time.
Okay.
But basically it's like you need to meet these 2 conditions, and in order to meet them, having the HP is also good. Or like having HP, I think, is also valuable if you're not going to be too short in gold, because every turn you live, you also get stronger, and like you're not going to be able to win 100% of your rounds on stage 4. The board just doesn't exactly do that. But you want to like make a stable board on stage 4 and then be able to go 9. So in essence, it's a fast 9 comp is what it is. It's a fast 9 comp that has some timers to roll before. It has some timers to roll before then. But really it's a fast 9 comp. And fast 9 comps, you can't just like nowadays, you can't just take full econ and then just go to 9. Like you can't do that and then lose all your rounds. You can't do that. You have to like find the rounds where it's opportunistic to win and do it where it's efficient to squeak out enough HP and gold to be able to get to 9 and win, essentially. Or to be able to get to 9 and hit your board and then win the game from there.
Okay. Let's say in a standard game where I take a good econ augment and I'm 2 to 3 way contested, what do you think is the AVP from that spot and average outcomes? It's basically like, what in my mind, it's basically a 7th or 8th or like a top 2. That seem about right in most spots.
Yeah, or it doesn't have to be 7th or 8th. I've seen like you can get some middling placements. If your spot is worse, you should like try to roll more aggressively on 8. And like you should try to roll more aggressively on 8 and not plan to get to 9 if you think the other guy's spot is better. Because then you're trying to play like play for placements if they can just get to 9 and win the game, and you can't. If that's the case, you want to take like maybe some more items, but especially like some more combat to make your ASOL stronger and hopefully help both the rest of your board. Make a reasonable rest of your board and then hope it goes well from there, I think. The mistake I see people do is they like try to greed. Like if the moment you make a mistake in trying to greed 9 when you don't have the best spot, you're just 8th a lot of the time. Unless you're both in quite strong spots. I've seen that happen before as well.
Okay.
But if your spot is like not as good, like I think like playing for the level 8 is like it very rare that it's bad EV to play for the level 8.
Okay. And related to that is how long do you want to keep extra Targon in to get extra stacks? Is it?
I think you should never even consider that when determining what should go on your board. I think the difference is too little.
Because if you play
Like if you
4 or 5, you're getting double the amount of stacks, right? So that like gets
if you play 4 or 5, you're losing every round on stage 4, and then you die. So, I'm pretty sure like trying to greed stacks. Like I just think like the amount of stacks you greed. I'll say my point first, and I'll let you ask the question. Basically, I think if you ever lose a single one of like the 3 or 4 lives you had because you greeted like 30 or 40 shards, or like maybe even 50 shards, it's just not worth it. The board, like the fact that you're losing slots in your board that give you better units, that give you more frontline and more like team-wide buffs, it just doesn't make it like is very likely to make you lose, and the benefit is very unlikely to make you win, is what I think.
Okay. The one spot that I was going to throw out there as an exception would be if you were high HP and you were...
Oh, high HP.
Yeah.
High HP don't care. You still play strongest board. Yeah.
High HP still strongest board.
High HP, if you lose a life because you play a Targon, you lose it on the tail end of your like if you go from 7 lives to 6 because you greeted extra Stardust, I'd rather have the extra round to farm.
Although what if you're gonna lose anyway? Yeah. Like then you might as well.
If you lose anyways, if you lose anyways and you play an Aphelios instead of like a Nico, you could get one more cast and you get more shards as well. Like it's the same idea. Or like you're playing Aphelios or like a Diana instead of like a Skarner. Sometimes it can cause the same kind of thing to happen.
Okay, that makes from an itemization standpoint, are you just basically always prioing JG Nasher and then tank items?
Yeah, the second Nasher is very good, by the way. Like, I love having the second Nasher. You gotta do what you gotta do. Like the Shojin or the blue gotta come, but like the second Nasher is really good.
And if you have enough to get JG double Nasher and main tank, is the next item prio Diana into Renekton or Silas as like your dual carry?
Yes, but you would prefer to not have those items if possible. Like you prefer to take a combat augment on 4-2, I believe.
Okay.
I mean, you got Diana too. Like I think the TG is really efficient. I don't know if the main carry items are that efficient, to be honest. Especially because I think generally you want to be trying to take Leona off your board if possible, and the moment that unit's off your board, your Diana is like actually a wet noodle.
Okay, so usually on level 8, it's like the Targons
that you are...
Right. Yeah. The Targons that you are keeping in is Taric, Leona 2, and Diana 2.
Yeah.
Drop everyone else.
Yeah.
Unless
if you watch Zoe in a fight. No.
No, even if you need tread, you drop.
If you've watched a Zoe fight, if the Zoe doesn't have any mana, it literally your ASO casts first, then your Zoe cast, then the shred runs out, and then your ASO casts again, and then Zoe casts again, and then your ASO gets value on third. It just doesn't do anything. It basically doesn't do anything.
Okay. How about Diana 1? Drop that too.
If you have one mana item on Zoe, the interval is good.
Oh, I see.
But if you have no items on Zoe, the interval is terrible. I like Void Staff, because then like your Seraphine or whoever can like get it on the main tank on the first auto attack, that's good. I'll take that. But the Zoe itself, the interval is actually terrible.
Okay. How about Diana 1? Drop that too.
Dyna 1, not that useful. I like Skarner a lot. Like Skarner, I think is actually very valuable, and I think it's useful to play towards both the Skarner and the Silas in this line.
Right.
Like the thing is, like when you run into like the mirrors, the playing around those things actually makes the difference.
So it should really be holding Jarvan's early game.
Yeah, Jarvan's for the free Jarvan too. Yeah, like you roll enough on 7 usually that like you were probably supposed to hit it.
Yeah.
And then like if you are in a level 8 situation, which happens sometimes, you want to be able to hit the 1 copy of Silas as well.
Okay.
Silas, don't like consider Silas to be super strong. He's not much better than a 1-star 5 cost on the board, but 2-star he's great. TG he's fine. Extra items better than on Diana 1. Probably honestly better than Diana 2 if you don't have Leona in.
Okay. And on this line, are you seeing it mostly played with double econ now, or you prefer just the single econ and then hopefully get into combat?
I don't think double econ's that good. I think it's like 1 good econ and then items and then combat 4-2. The items give you the mid game, like the spike on 3-5 to be able to win. They also mean that you're likely to be 3 item on stage 4, which is good. And then you just want the combat to give your board more frontline, or especially to make your Acel do more damage. I think Acel doing more damage, like both of them kind of do the same thing, but Acel doing more damage is really, really good. He's a burst guy. Your frontline is not as good as some of the other frontlines in the game, but like you just blow up their whole board.
Right. What are the best combat augments that you like for this line?
Lotus is good. I think technically Warlord should be decent, but I don't know if that one is a little bit slow. But like this guy really, really wants base stats. I think. Let me take a quick look. Augments.
And usually you're talking about 4-2, right? Soul Awakening?
Yeah, 4-2. Soul Awakening is pretty decent. It's a little slow, but it's fine. Anything that gives you a dupe is insane because if you hiro the second copy on level 8, you win the game. So like 1 buff, 2 buff, like max build if you need the gold. Like those are econ augments, right? But especially 1 buff, 2 buff on 3-2 or 4-2 are good, especially if you're missing like one of the like burn, for example. Bro, they're like Exiles is okay. Spirit Link is pretty good. These offensive, there are not that many of these offensive ones, honestly. Like, Best Friends is decent in this comp. Low key Glass is pretty chill, I think.
Yeah.
I think Glass should be good. It should be good. You just want to go up
less
the board.
TFs, yeah.
There's no Fizz, there's no TF, there's enemy Dianas, I guess. Like anything that gets their backline was killing your guys anyways. Lux like is not the hardest position around. Yeah.
Elias said hold the line. So,
I mean, Staffness is just generally good. That thing gives you too many items. Like you can just
What
put extra
about-
items in this area.
stuff like last second save. I guess you said Exiles,
fine.
but like you want
That's
stuff
fine.
that blows stuff up faster rather than sustains your team longer.
Yes, but there's just the number of those augments literally just don't fucking exist. Like they're just not in the game.
Okay. So it's just stuff that helps your team combat wise.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. I think that is all my ASOL questions. Cool. This is super helpful.
Cool. Sounds good. Best of luck playing and practicing.
Thank you.
I will catch you around. Yeah,
right,
no
talk to you
problem.
later.
Good luck tomorrow. Yeah, see ya.